Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morale Booster with John Ughulu. And today I have with me a very intelligent woman. She is a marketing executive. She has had the opportunity to hold various positions in the marketing sector. And today she will be sharing her experience with us. And I hope you all will enjoy and learn one or two things from her. Her name is Dorinda Walker. So Dorinda, welcome on the show.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm glad you could make it. It's not easy to have people take time out of their busy schedule to come on programs like this, but I really do appreciate you for taking time out.
You're so welcome. You know, as a marketer, I understand when you are given these opportunities, every
Yes.
opportunity to showcase yourself is a marketing opportunity. So
Awesome. That's a great one. I just hope the listeners out there have heard that point. That's a very wonderful point. Looking out for every opportunity to get yourself and your product out there. Thanks, Dorinda. So Dorinda, my listeners will be interested in knowing who you are and what you do. So can you please tell us? Yeah.
Sure. So I've been called an inspirational warrior. I am an author. I'm an award-winning marketer on both the B2B and B2C side. The name of my book is called Protected by Purpose.
Awesome.
And I've had the privilege of touring the country and parts of the globe promoting the book. It's a book about my life and how I went from a path to prison or death to living a life of purpose and becoming one of the top marketing executives in my company and being known as one of the top Black executives in the country. And I'm a wife, a mother, and a grandmother to Shugs. And yeah.
You don't even look it. You're a grandmother?
Yes, I am.
Wow, that's good genes there.
Yeah, and I'm also a community advocate. A lot of my work is based on service and purpose to bring about awareness and solutions toward issues that matter to me.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a very great presentation there. So, Dorinda, for how long have you been a marketing executive? Or for how long have you been in marketing, the marketing space?
I've been in a dedicated marketing role since 2009. Yeah, since 2009. Prior to that, I was a project manager. I had various roles working in the financial services industry. Really didn't know that marketing would be a career path for me. But because of my skill set and my talent, I had an innate skill for it. And I was able to thrive in the company that I work for because of it.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. So how did you develop interest in marketing? How did that passion come?
So the company I worked for and the industry I worked in, I felt like didn't do a good job at marketing to people of color and women. Okay. And so I wrote a proposal as to why the company should focus on multicultural markets. And that's how I got into the multicultural marketing arena. And, you know, by the grace of God and the timing, the company ended up adapting multicultural marketing as a strategic imperative to grow business with diverse consumers. And I was able to create my own role and ultimately doing a job that I loved and loving what I did.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's awesome. So it's not as if, you know, from when you got into college, you knew you were going to get into marketing. You know, the opportunity just crept in and you harnessed it, right?
Exactly. So I am an anomaly because I don't have a college degree. I'm a high school dropout. Okay. And so my story is I went from a drug dealer to corporate executive.
Whoa, and that's a wonderful story I would like to hear.
Yeah, so essentially both my parents were addicted to drugs, heroin. And as a result, I suffered the consequences of their addiction. So I went from a straight A honor roll student to an at-risk youth. My mom ended up in an abusive relationship with a man she met in rehab, who physically and mentally abused both of us. My dad ended up doing time in prison for murder. And it wasn't until he was freed from prison that I was freed from the abuse. And then this was in the 80s. Less than a year later, he was diagnosed with AIDS. And I ended up dropping out of high school, selling drugs, because I knew the heroin was the only thing keeping him alive. And I became a distributor, not only to people in the neighborhood, but to my parents. I had 15 runners working for me in the projects, and I was definitely headed to a path of prison or death. When my dad died, my mom disappeared. I became very depressed, attempted suicide, spent 6 weeks in a psych ward, and was released into my paternal grandparents' care. And God sent an angel to tell me he had a different plan and purpose for my life. So, fast forward, I ended up creating my own job in a Fortune 50 company, because I put in the work. I had to go through the process of forgiveness and, forgiving myself for everything that had happened in my life, forgiving those who I thought did me wrong, um, forgiving God, quite frankly, because I was so angry at God for a long time, which led me to finding my faith, which was very important. And then also putting in the work with fortitude to change my circumstances. And so really what I've learned after much evaluation and putting in the work is that I had to develop a growth mindset to know that I was capable of achieving anything, that not having a degree didn't prohibit me from getting a six-figure salary, from doing the things that I wanted to do. And I was able to prove that out in my corporate career. And I just retired after 20 years of service in the financial services
Whoa.
industry. So
Congratulations.
I'm really proud of that, because now I have my own business called Cultural Solutions Group. And with that business, I'm able to work with Fortune 500 brands to help them develop strategies to engage women and diverse consumers, not only from a marketplace, but also from a talent perspective, because I believe you have to have an internal diverse workforce in order for you to be attractive to a multicultural audience and marketplace.
All right, awesome. That's a good one. Well, I really would like to ask you a few questions regarding, I'm not trying to dig into your past, but your story is a story that I know would resonate with so many of my listeners out there. Now, there's so many people who are going through what you have been through and are looking for ways to get out of that bondage, whether you like it or not. There's so many people who are currently listening to this program right now who would be able to learn one or two things from your experience. So I'm going to ask you just a few questions.
Okay.
I really do admire your courage. The fact that you didn't allow your predicaments play a role in your future decisions. That is key. So how did you manage to transition from that tough era to where you are right now? Because it's not easy having been through that path. How did you develop that winning mindset?
I had to understand that I couldn't play the victim.
Right.
That life wasn't happening to me. I was making choices that put me in situations that I shouldn't have been in. And so regardless of who my parents were, regardless of where I lived in my environment, I had choices. And once you understand that, and you understand that you can make a different choice to not be a victim and to be a victor, um, it broadens your horizon. So, I know it sounds cliche, but it really is. Do I make the choice to hang out with this person who's going to cheer me on to go to jail or go to prison? Or do I make a choice for me to disconnect myself from that person and that environment and find other role models, other avenues that is going to get me towards a life of freedom? Because really it's all about, and it's funny, I went to church this morning and freedom was what the pastor was preaching about, not freedom from physical bondage necessarily, but freedom to have the choice, freedom to have
to make the right decisions.
Right, the joy to make the right decisions. And ultimately it's up to you and your choices.
Right.
And once you learn that, then you're empowered to make the right choices for your life and your purpose. And also finding your purpose. You know, I didn't know what my purpose was for a long time. And understanding that, you know, I had talents and gifts. We all have unique talents and gifts.
Yes.
I had a passion for diversity and inclusion because my great grandmother, the angel that God sent to save me, was a white woman who was disowned by her family for marrying a Black man. And so I always wanted to fight for that injustice that she had to suffer, because I think it would have changed the dynamic in my family somewhat. And so marrying my gifts for getting things done, for creativity around my purpose, allowed me to be a good marketer.
Wow, that's awesome. I really like the fact that you could develop that mindset, because I am a mindset coach. You know, I understand the power of utilizing the you know, the good mindset. A healthy mindset helps you. It always helps you go from one terrible situation to a better situation. And I like that. I hope the listeners out there are paying close attention. You mentioned something about choices. Everybody has a right to make a choice. So deciding if you want to do something good or something bad is up to you. There's no one to blame for such decisions except yourself.
And I want to say one other thing, because a lot of times when you grow up in urban environments and you're in the midst of the so-called hood, you might hear all the time that you're not going to be anything, that you're not worth anything. And then you start to have that mindset and believe it. And you have to really focus on your inner self and understand that some of those things that you're telling yourself or that you heard aren't facts, right? Because there's a difference between beliefs and facts.
Yes.
So, you know, the belief that you're not worthy is really not a fact. It's something ingrained based on your experience.
Yes.
Right? But if you start giving yourself positive affirmations, I can get out of this situation. I have talent. I have gifts. I have something to offer to the world. Giving yourself daily affirmations starts to give that belief, starts to put that belief to bed. And
Right.
the facts start to emerge that you are capable, that you are worthy of living an extraordinary life.
Exactly. That is correct. Now, for the listeners out there, I just want to reiterate this, that we are not responsible for the programming, or we were actually not responsible for the programming we received as kids. But as adults, we are 100% responsible for changing it and fixing it. So if someone out there, or the environment the environment you grew up gave you that mindset that you cannot be a great person or that you cannot make it in life, it is up to you to identify and eliminate that limiting belief. It's just a limiting belief. It's just a tool used by somebody who knows how to control other people's mindset to stop you from being great. So like what Dorinda just said, you need to constantly remind yourself that you have to be optimistic. You need to tell yourself on a daily basis that you can make it. And when you keep sounding that to yourself, trust me, you would make moves to get out of that situation. So I do mindset coaching. I come across so many people who have those mental blocks. The worst kind of limiting belief is conviction. When you have a conviction that you cannot do something, probably you say, I'm too old to do this, or I'm not rich enough to do this, or I'm not clever enough to do that. That is the biggest limiting belief on earth. So if you are having such challenges, have a life coach. Look for a coach. Look for somebody like Dorinda, who has been through such in life. Give her a call. She will be able to mentor you. She will be able to coach you. She will be able to give you all you need, all the tools you require to succeed. Am I right, Dorinda?
I am. So, and on top of being a marketer, I'm also a certified John Maxwell coach, trainer,
Also.
and speaker. And so I'm actually building out my transformational coaching curriculum right now, because I believe that is what God wants me to do moving forward. Because when my book came out, I realized that everybody has a story. A lot of people are struggling with how to get rid of the baggage that's holding them back from fulfilling their dreams and their life's
Yes.
purpose. And so I truly believe that God gave me the awareness that my time with corporate America was over, because I had to transition into helping others in this way.
Right. That's a good one. I really love what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. More power to your elbow. You already know, as a servant leader, that we rise by lifting others.
And I want to tell you, because there may be someone who can benefit from this. In 2018 and part of 19 was like the height of my career. My book was doing good. I was, I'm this big corporate executive, traveling the country. And when God put it on my heart, there was some organizational change that happened at work, and I was no longer fulfilled in my position. And I believe that happened because God was saying, okay, it's time for you to move on. But I didn't want to walk through the door of leaving, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Walking through the new door. And so
Yeah.
I spiraled into a depression, because I was going to leave a 6-figure salary. I wouldn't have that prestigious title. And then I kept praying about it. And I literally was sitting in my car dreading going into the office every morning. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? So I prayed about it. And God asked me 2 questions. Who are you and who do you work for? And so I had to realize I'm the bad woman who created her own job in a Fortune 50 company on a GED education, whose marketing campaigns generated millions of dollars, right?
Right.
And so if I could do it for corporate America and someone else's mission, I could do it for the person I work for, who is Jesus.
Yes.
And so that gave me so much clarity. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm out.
That's a good one. Because, first of all, having a purpose in life is key. You went from being a drug dealer to becoming a vice president of a Fortune 500 company.
Fortune 50.
Fortune 50 company, which you did because you had a why from the beginning. So having a why is paramount. I really do envy your courage. And I know so many people out there would understand that.
So I'm going to
Whatever.
correct you on that. I didn't have a why.
Okay.
I had a belief that I was capable of achieving. I didn't
Right.
know what my why was for a minute. But when
Okay.
I entered corporate America as a temp, and I watched what people were doing who were making more money than me, I said, well, I can do that. I never doubted that I couldn't do
Couldn't
something
make it. Right.
and I
Right.
couldn't learn something. And that was the distinguishing factor with me in corporate America, because there was a lot of people who questioned, how does she do this? Why is she in this position? And didn't understand how I was able to do it. It was because I never doubted that I could not do it.
Right. That's a good one. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. So how is the work-life blend right now for you? Your work-life
You know what? It's funny.
as a grandmom, as a wife, as everything.
Last year I still was doing a lot of traveling. I was still, networking, because I have a campaign that I'm launching through Cultural Solutions Group, and I'm attempting to get funding. And at the end of last year, I looked at my calendar and I noticed that I didn't have a lot of speaking engagements the first quarter of this year.
Okay.
And I was, complaining to my friends. I'm like, what's going on? Not that I didn't have work. I'm working on a new book. I'm having meetings about this campaign. And unfortunately, I found out why, because it wasn't the season for me to travel. My husband ended up going to the hospital for congestive heart failure.
Oh.
And so
How's he doing now anyway?
he's doing much better. He's out of the hospital. He has to have surgery
Awesome.
next week.
We thank
But
God for that.
I share that to say, sometimes when things aren't going according to your plan, it's going according to God's plan. Because had I been booked and busy, I would have had to cancel engagements. It may have
Right.
affected my brand. I would have been stressed out about it.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually grateful that God allowed me to have that balance right now because I'm where I need to be. But having a supportive family is helpful in maintaining some sort of balance. And I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in prioritization.
Right. That's a good one.
Yeah, because there's some times where you have the momentum to prioritize your career, and there's sometimes when you have to take a step back and prioritize family and other things. So
that's true. Thanks for that. Okay, so during the course of your career, have you mentored anybody, whether directly or indirectly?
throughout my career, I'm a big advocate of mentorship, of coaching. So I have. And that is why I think God was telling me, okay, you need to turn this talent that you have into and monetize it actually. Because there's people that need your services. So there's a very different distinction between a mentor and a coach. But
Right.
if you're not a good mentor, you'll never be a good coach.
That's it. That's it. That's true. Okay. So what challenges have you encountered, transitioning from being an employee to owning a business, becoming an entrepreneur?
The biggest hurdle I had to overcome was getting used to the fact that I wasn't writing the checks, but I had to ask for them. And so that made me realize that I had to be willing to do something different to be successful as an entrepreneur versus what I was doing as a corporatepreneur,
Right.
and an entrepreneur in corporate America. And so I think the key to having kind of a seamless transition, because so far it has been pretty seamless for me, is just challenging myself to be different, to do things differently, and to make asks even though I'm not comfortable. Because the one thing I've learned as an entrepreneur is you better get really comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people say they would like to quit their 9 to 5 or quit their 9 to 5 so that they can have enough time as entrepreneurs. Because they feel as an entrepreneur, you have 100% control of your time. You can work less hours. But if you're listening to this program right now, I just want to set this as a reminder for you. As an entrepreneur, you don't rest.
You don't.
As an employee, you rest when you get off work.
Yeah.
So do not think you want to quit your 9 to 5 or 8 hours job or 12 hours job so you can have less time. If you're getting into entrepreneurship with that mindset, it's high time you just cut that off. Entrepreneurs work 24/7 because you are the one who will determine how much money you can make, how much money you can bring in. So am I right, Dorinda?
You are absolutely right. It's a nonstop hustle. And the one thing that I would say is when you're considering that move, you need to have a 3-year strategy and plan.
Right.
So if you're right now a corporatepreneur, you have a side hustle and you're working that 9 to 5, you need to make sure that you've saved at least 3 years worth of savings so that you can maintain your lifestyle when you make the transition, because you won't have that added stress.
Yes.
And then, oh, I lost you.
Oh, no, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
I can see you. Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Okay. And so you need to have that. And then you also need to ensure that you have a 3-year strategy and plan for your business. But at the beginning, you really need to see if your business goals are aligned to your purpose goals.
Yes.
And that's really important, because if you're just having a business because you think it's going to create all this money and it's not aligned to passion and purpose and being, then it's not going to be successful. You're going to fail.
That's true. That's true. Like I keep telling people, if you want to get into entrepreneurship and you currently have a job, it's not advisable to just let go of that job, without having a strategy, like Dorinda said. So I tell people we have 24 hours in a day. So use your 9 to 5 to finance your 5 to 9. So what does that imply? It means when you work 9 to 5 for your employer, you get paid. That is the money that would keep you going. So you get off work at 5 p.m. So when you get off work at 5 p.m., an entrepreneur works 24 hours, but you have decided to share it, one for your employer and one for your business. When you get off your business, use the remaining time to face, when you get off your work, your employment, use the remaining time to face your business. That's why I say use your 9 to 5 to finance your 5 to 9.
Yeah.
That's 5 in the evening to 9 in the morning.
And then also, once you have made it to startup, and you need to figure out your growth strategy, because the one thing that you want to do to achieve financial freedom, I'm a big proponent of financial education.
Yes.
Is you want to figure out how you're going to be able to scale your business so that you can hire others,
right.
so that it can free you up to do more investing.
Right.
And so that's especially for Black and Brown communities, because there's so many of us who are in the entrepreneurship realm, but we have failed to figure out how to scale effectively. And that's going to be the key to closing the wealth gap and to building our own.
Yeah. I like that. I like what you just said. That's a very good point. So basically what you're saying is when you're starting any business, you should put into consideration that if that business cannot end up becoming a franchise or a business where other people can come in, it's not worth it. So from the start, you should have a plan where you can always accommodate people to help you reduce the workload. So there could be shared responsibilities. So always have it at the back of your mind that this business you're building one day would end up becoming a franchise where you can allow people run the affairs of the business without you worrying or bothering that things might go wrong. So which means you must have a strategy for that. You must have a working strategy.
I think it's Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad model, where he talks you through how the wealthy get wealthy. Yes. So they start out as an employee working for someone else, and then they become an entrepreneur.
Right.
Then they become a business owner where they're having people work for them, and then they turn into an investor and ultimately get a minimum of 7 different investment strategies, right? Yes. And investment doesn't mean having 7 different businesses.
That's true. That's true.
It means that you have stocks and mutual funds and things that you're invested in that make money for you while you sleep.
Right, right. That's a good one. Okay, so are you interested in receiving new clients for mentorship?
I'm actually interested in receiving new clients to coach.
Okay, for coaching.
For coaching.
Right.
I have a Facebook group live, a Facebook group called Protected by Purpose, where I often go in and do Facebook Lives and things like that. And that's where you can get some mentoring from me.
Right.
I'm also looking for, because I'm a stern believer in asking for what you want, because if you don't ask, the answer is always no. Yeah. My campaign is called Cries Conquered, and CRY stands for Culture, Racism, Inequality, Equity, and Sexism. And it's focused on conquering the cries of Gen Z. My target is age 14 to 24, so if you're in that age range, look up criesconquered.com.
Yeah, can you spell that for us again?
Cries, CRIES, and Conquered, CONQUERED. Okay. So it's Cries.
It's one word, right?
Cries Conquered,
right? Okay.
One word. And I'm actually looking to host a video shoot. I haven't really did a big push for the website yet because it's still in development, but you can go on there and fill out an application. We're going to be doing video shoots in various locations. so that we can give Gen Z a voice to talk about some of the issues that are driving the high rates of suicide, anxiety, and depression, because it's triple the rate of my generation. And it's a concern to me as a
Right.
mother and a grandmother that we leave the world better for the next generation. So
Yeah,
I want them to
yeah,
have a voice.
yeah, you're doing a very great job. Very good job. Do you have a copy of your book handy?
I probably do. Let me see. Yes, here it is.
Okay.
It's
Uh,
called Protected by Purpose.
Protected by Purpose. Okay, guys, if you're listening, please go get a copy of this book, Protected by Purpose. It's by Dorinda Walker. Look
And
out for it.
you can follow me on dorindawalker.com. The book is available there. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart.com. So please support and send me feedback, write reviews on Amazon. That would be most appreciated.
All right, that's a great one. Okay, so what's your business projection for the next 5 years?
So for the next 5 years, I plan on having a multi-million-dollar business
Ooh, yeah.
that is going to allow me to work internationally,
Yes.
and also to hire at least 20 people. That's my goal, and
Right.
I'm really excited about it. I'll have the marketing arm of my business, and then I'll also have the coaching and speaking arm, because I know that through the work I did with Protected by Purpose, if there's a demand for it. But I also have a passion around the marketing work, and more so marketing that's going to make a difference. So as
Right.
far as marketing and things like that. And so
Right.
I think with the right support and the right strategy and plan, that I can be successful.
Yes, that's it. That's the mindset is what matters. When you have a positive mindset and you have the willpower, once you know how to utilize the willpower, you will definitely be able to achieve your goals. That is it. That's a good one. So do you have any advice for people who want to go into marketing, into the marketing space?
My advice to anyone who wants to go into marketing is to talk to people who are in marketing, find out what their day-to-day is like, and then assess what you like and what you don't, so that you can make the right choices in terms of your
Right.
own career path. You
Right.
know, I remember when I started in that multicultural marketing field, the company I worked for brought someone in from consumer goods who was used to doing consumer goods marketing, and it was very different in financial services, and she was miserable.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's very important to talk to people who are in various aspects of marketing to find out what you think you'd really like and what you think you wouldn't, so you can make the right choices, or even determine maybe marketing is not something I really want to do.
Yeah, that's good. You're very correct. Having to know the part you want to get into, networking, and making up your mind
Yeah.
on if it's something you want to do. Okay, so this platform is strictly for mentoring and coaching, and I know my listeners have been getting lots of feedbacks, and I know how well people are receiving this. So what's your own opinion about this platform, using this as a platform for mentoring and coaching people?
I love the podcast platform. So I do a walk every day in the morning, and I listen to various podcasts depending on what I think I need to have in my spirit. And it ranges from psychology to, marketing to SEO, depending on whatever I want to learn about. And so I
Right.
think it's a very important platform. It gives you a genre of different topics and different things that you have access to. So I love the platform. I have my own podcast, Protected by Purpose podcast. I got launched
Right.
last year.
Right.
The only thing that I'm learning about this is it requires a time commitment. So with me
Yes.
launching my business, I decided that last year I was going to do 10 episodes, and now I'm going to start back up this year, because I was going into a studio and with all the technology that allows me to do it from my home, it's just more practical for me.
Right. Okay, that's a good one. So this is my own way of just inspiring change. At the beginning of this year, I told myself that I would inspire 1 million plus people just this year. It's going to be a continuous thing, but this year, that's my goal. And so far, so good. We are getting a lot of feedbacks. People are coming back telling us how inspired they are by, the program. And it's all as a result of having wonderful guests like yourself. And I really do appreciate you for taking time out of your busy schedule for joining me on the program. And I hope when next I call you, because you are definitely going to get to that multi-million-dollar mark that you've set for yourself. I hope when next I call you, even when you have become that millionaire or billionaire, you would be willing to come back on the program.
Absolutely. I live by the word, to whom much is given, much is required. So
that is true.
I'm happy to support. Just want to mention a couple other things that I'm involved with. I am on the advisory board for Face to Face Africa's 30 Black Stars.
Okay.
So if you are a Black professional who is blazing the trails, reach out to me. You can nominate yourself on 30blackstars.com.
Okay.
It's an annual event. I'm also the chair for Lead 360's Combine, and Lead 360 is a professional organization for Black leaders. So we focus on director level and above, and it's a great organization. So go to lead360.org to learn more about that as well, if you're a professional in the corporate space.
Right, that's a good one. So, like I have a nonprofit organization that provides assistance, coaching, and mentoring for children between the ages of individuals between the ages of 8 to 22, and we will be reaching out to you so that you and your organization can, support us as well.
Oh yeah, I'd love to highlight the work you're doing as part of my campaign. That'd be great.
Thank you for that. So, well, I look forward to having you on so many other episodes. And if you're still listening, please remember to go grab a copy of your book. All right? She would be more than happy if everybody has a copy of it, because it's going to touch your life. It's going to teach you so many lessons. You already heard what she said. She's a winner. She's a warrior. She's a conqueror. Grab your copy so you can also know how to go through life. Thank you very much for joining me once again, and have a wonderful rest of your day.